Bounty hunters, armchair detectives, and tiplines. How to help F up an active missing persons investigation.
This video is fair use. It is transformative and is protected under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allows made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, reporting, teaching, and more.
Equally troubling, private citizens set up tip lines, but sometimes neglect to share information with law enforcement.
One well-known tip line was actually going to the cell phone of a bounty hunter. What information may have been lost because of that, I can't imagine. When you lose control of the flow of information, you don't know what you lost.
Sometimes intrusive media coverage also stokes the fires of accusation.
With all the media attention, there were a lot of armchair sleuths all over the country that were contacting us and some conducting their own investigation.
One website, called Backward State, goes so far as to present excerpts from one of GBI agent Gary Rothwell's television interviews, played backwards. The amateur sleuth claims that the interview audio, played in reverse, reveals hidden clues about the people responsible for Tara's disappearance.
And I am not kidding. We actually had someone do that. Someone in this tiny little community on YouTube that we find ourselves in. And that was Nita's world. And she took the time to play back a few interviews with Donna and Candace, as well as Jody Sue, and God knows who else, backwards. And she did that for hours. So I'm going to show you a clip of her actually doing this very briefly because it's absolutely ridiculous. So let's take a listen to that. And then I'll see you to finish the interview in just a few minutes. And then I'm going to go do a little bit of research and see what I can find about Tara, because the interview we're playing is actually from 2009, 2010, and she disappeared in, I think it was 2005. So I would like to get an update on Tara and see if she's been found or not. See you in a minute.
Reverse audio of this together.
Nej, det är om man sa, precis. När drar och snart så hela blir ganska. Ja, så har man ganska. Att man är för egen nationella kärnor med det. Jag ska börja med.
Okay, that was Don and Candace's interview backwards. There was like 5 or 6 words that I was able to pull out of that. Hold on. 5 or 6 words that I was able to pull out of that. And we're going to listen to Jody Sue's next.
No thanks. But Nita's going to tell us what she heard in that last clip. I mean, might as well find out what she heard.
I heard bring her name and girl. That was the only backwards words that I was. Yeah, she does that shit, tickle girl.
Okay, so someone in the chat asks her, like, what is the purpose of this? So she's going to give us her explanation.
The purpose of taking it backwards. I've been doing a study of CIA techniques. Right, Big Peter, maybe we can understand it backwards. Of CIA techniques. And one of the things that they did a study of was backwards masking. And how that when you're telling a lie, subconsciously you tell on yourself. Somewhere embedded in the lie, you pick out the key words and they tell the truth. That was the study the CIA did. Yes, there are keywords. I heard that too, Rhonda. Don't trust and nobody. From Donna. Candace, it was take the girl name, and I can't remember that word just now, but we can listen to it again.
Oh gosh, no. No, thank you. Let's move on.
Good idea. What I did was I put headphones on, I slowed it down, I listened to it, and I had pen and paper to jot while doing it. So we're going to play this again, play Jody Suits, and then I'm going to end the live stream right now. We're going to play this again, play Jody Suits, and then I'm going to end the live stream right now. And I want everybody to slow it down and listen to both of these clips. And we're going to meet up at 11 p.m. And I want you guys' thoughts on what you heard. We're going to all meet up together and we're going to discuss it.
No thanks.
The amateur sleuth claims that the interview audio, played in reverse, reveals hidden clues about the people responsible for Tara's disappearance.
I was identifying the true offender, and all you had to do was play my interview backwards. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Okay, so over a decade ago, and possibly up to 2 decades ago, we are hearing about tip lines and how they can affect an investigation. We are hearing about bounty hunters and how the tip lines go directly to them. I'm not saying that's Dog the Bounty Hunter. I don't know. It could have been any bounty hunter. What I'm saying is that for 2 decades, possibly more, this type of crap has been going on in active investigations. And I think the law really needs to catch up to these internet weirdos and sleuths and armchair detectives, because they're making a mess. I'm just saying, this is clearly affecting investigations.
Equally troubling, private citizens set up tip lines, but sometimes neglect to share information with law enforcement.
I mean, do you guys remember that messed up tip line that was set up in Sebastian's name? I know Terry Lynn called it and had herself a grand old time exploiting Sebastian, calling the tip line over and over. I know Granny did talk about it and did also call the tip line. Now, nowhere near like what Terry Lynn did, but she still called. And yeah, we have Dog and his team now with Nick the Hat, and they're setting up their own tip line. Yet, people should be calling 1-800-TBI-FIND. Or they should be calling the local sheriff's department for Sebastian, not some random tip line set up by some people who want attention. If you have a relevant tip for Sebastian or any other missing child, please always call law enforcement. In this case, it's 1-800-TBI-FIND. And they will direct your call to wherever it's supposed to go, if it's supposed to go to local or if it's supposed to go to them. But I would trust 1-800-TBI-FIND only if you have a credible tip. Don't call some random bounty hunter that's out here for attention or his media group. We just heard in the last clip that how many tips could have been lost because of this BS and people like this. And I'm not sure how law enforcement can stop that. I don't know if they can. People have freedom of speech and freedom to do what they want to do. They can suggest, but it's just happening anyway. So please, please call law enforcement. Do not trust weirdos on the internet who are out here for attention. And if you haven't seen Michelle After Dark, she's done a couple of videos calling these people out recently with their fake satellites. I mean, come on. This is bunk. For those who still think these people are legit, please give your heads a shake. They're not. In my opinion, of course. This is not looking good for them. And if you notice right there on the screen, that's one of Sebastian's pictures that is okayed by the TBI to put out there. But that little stamp, that's the TBI's stamp. And it's kind of misleading because they're using the pictures from the TBI site, which, as far as I know, is perfectly legal because they're using Sebastian's photos that they want people to use. But it kind of makes it look like the TBI says it's okay, in a way, when you have that stamp on your flyer. You know, almost like the TBI is endorsing this. I don't think they are, though. That the TBI probably doesn't endorse. I'm just guessing. I don't know if they do or not. I'm just thinking they probably don't. We've already had this problem once with another creator who made their own flyer, changed the picture, and had the TBI stamp on the picture. So I see this as a problem. I don't know how you see it. Let's keep going. And just a reminder, this is Detective Gary Rothwell, and he's talking about Tara's case 10, and I am going to bring you an update in that case at the end here. But let's just get through this part, and then I will give you an update. I was basically just watching a show on Amazon Prime, and it just reminded me so much of what we have going on today in our little community. So I thought I'd show the parallels from 1 to 2 decades ago to now. Some of the same things are still happening. Let's listen.
One well-known tip line was actually going to the cell phone of a bounty hunter. What information may have been lost because of that, I can't imagine. When you lose control of the flow of information, you don't know what you lost.
The sometimes intrusive media coverage also stokes the fires of accusation.
With all the media attention, there were a lot of armchair sleuths all over the country that were contacting us and some conducting their own investigation.
These people, these creators, they say that they're here for the missing children, but they don't give a crap that they're actually interfering and hurting an investigation. That's the part that doesn't make sense to me. Well, it makes perfect sense. It's all about money. Blood money. That's what they want. They need the money in their pocket. They're so used to paying their bills with that money, they can't stop now. They've always got to find the next best thing. And I call that chasing the dragon. They had one big live and it brought a whole bunch of people. It becomes kind of, addicting in a way. And they've got to constantly be topping that. The next thing that comes up, it's got to be the biggest. And it's going to keep going. It'll never end until we get better legislation, until we get victims' rights. It's not going to stop. All we can do is speak out, share our opinions, and hope for the best. But subscribers, you guys are the ones who are watching and giving views to these people. That's you. You can help too by not watching, not giving them your attention, and actually caring for the victim. Speaking of victims, let's take a look and see what happened with Tara. I found an article and we're going to go over it. A beloved Georgia high school teacher went missing in 2005. More than 11 years later, 2 men are arrested. But will we ever know the truth of what happened? Tara Grinstead was a 30-year-old history teacher at Irwin County High School in Wasilla, Georgia, when she was reported missing on October 24, 2005. This is Tara and her friend Maria. Tara's best friend, Maria Woods Heather, grew up with Tara in Hawkinsville, Georgia, about an hour north of Wasilla. She was radiant, says Maria. She had the biggest smile. She could tell you anything to make you feel better. Tara had dreams of being a school administrator, and even someday a school principal. At the time she went missing, she was attending night school to earn a specialist degree. Tara competed in beauty pageants to win scholarship money to further her education. Miss Tifton 1999. In 1999, Tara won the Miss Tifton pageant, which landed her a spot at the 1999 Miss Georgia competition. Her main goal was to win Miss Georgia, or at least to get to Miss Georgia, and she did, remembers Maria Woods Harbor. When Tara no longer competed, she mentored other young women in the Wasilla area in the world of pageants. She just took me underneath her wing, remembers Dana Wilder. She taught me the ins and outs of interviews, hair, and makeup, and wardrobe. For around 6 years, Tara dated Marcus Harper, a former Wasilla cop who joined the Army Rangers. Marcus was often overseas, and though they had broken up by the fall of 2005, friends say Tara was distraught about the relationship ending. Tara was passionate about her job teaching history at Irwin County High School. She was also the cheerleading coach. It was when she didn't show up at school on the morning of Monday, October 24th, 2005, that friends and neighbors knew something was very wrong. When police entered Tara Grinstead's home just down the street from downtown Wasilla, they found beauty supplies left out from when Tara had helped girls prepare for the local sweet potato pageant the Saturday before. Her bed was unmade and bedside lamp was broken. The latex glove. Outside, in the front yard, investigators found a potential clue, a latex glove. It appeared that Tara may have left on her own, said former GBI agent in charge, Gary Rothwell. However, we had a latex glove, that we couldn't explain. So that gave us a stronger indication that something bad had happened. Unknown DNA profile. The latex glove was sent to a lab for testing. On the glove, lab techs identified Tara's DNA and DNA of an unknown male. No persons of interest. For years, rumors swirled around Oscilla, wondering what happened to Tara Grinstead and who was responsible. Her dating life was closely examined, and authorities chased down leads across the country, but no one was named, a suspect, or even a person of interest in her disappearance. A surprising admission. In 2007, a woman named Brooke Sheridan came forward to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, known as the GBI. She said her boyfriend, Bo Dukes, told her that he had helped his friend, Ryan Duke, cover up Grinstead's murder. The men had similar names, but were not related. They had attended the Irwin County High School together, where Tara was a teacher. The Pecan Orchard. On February 21st, 2017, Bo Duke sat down for an interview with the GBI and told them that in October 2005, Ryan Duke came to him saying he had killed Grinstead and dumped her body in a pecan orchard that Bo Dukes' family owned. Duke said that together he and Ryan Duke buried Grinstead's body there in the orchard over the period of 2 days. After Bo Dukes, on the left, went to the GBI, Ryan Duke, on the right, was arrested and charged with Tara's murder. Bo was arrested weeks later on charges relating to covering up of the crime. In a voluntary interview with the GBI just before his arrest, Ryan Duke said that he had been stealing from Tara's purse, high on drugs, when Grinstead came up behind him and he hit her. Ryan gave a DNA sample, and it matched the unknown male DNA profile on the latex glove. Finding justice. In 2019, Bo Dukes, the dude pictured above there, went on trial first in Wilcox County, Georgia, for charges related to helping conceal a crime. He was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Ryan Duke then went on trial for the murder in 2022, but his lawyers argued that he had given false confession back in 2017, partially because he was afraid of his former friend. When Ryan took the stand, he testified that the morning after Tara went missing, Bo Dukes woke him up and admitted to killing Tara. Ryan testified that he did not know how Tara died, but that he had gone to the orchard with Bo and he helped move her body before Bo lit the fire. In the closing arguments, Ryan's attorneys also argued that the latex glove with Ryan's DNA on it could have been planted outside of Tara's house by Bo. On May 20th of 2022, a jury acquitted Ryan Duke of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and burglary, but they found him guilty of concealing a death. On May 23rd, Ryan Duke was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Both men still face outstanding charges in a neighboring county related to burning Tara's body there. That's a really sad case, guys. And just from doing a little bit of research on the case, going back and looking, I found that there was a couple of people at least that were blamed for her disappearance. And it turns out that they had nothing to do with it. But of course, the court of public opinion, and then we have our internet sleuths full on blaming people for her disappearing. We had an ex-boyfriend of hers that they thought may have been responsible, and there was also a former student who, well, they had a strange relationship where, sorry, I don't mean strange like that. I mean strange because the student kind of turned a little bit stalkerish in a way. Anyway, I won't get into too many details about that, but they also blamed that guy, and it turns out he was pretty far away at the time and had nothing to do with it. So what I did find was another article, and it kind of talks about how this one person, at least, who was into a podcast, and yeah, they had it all wrong. And so this person came out and wrote an article about how wrong it is to basically just accuse people. And I thought I'd read you just a little bit of that, not the whole thing, because it does talk about the whole case all over again. So we're going to skip all that part since we already know now. And we're going to get right to the part where this person is feeling a little guilty. So this article is from huntakiller.com. And the title is The Tara Grinstead Investigation, A Lesson in Humility. And it's from February 2017. And the article is by someone with the initials CWS. And as I mentioned, we are skipping ahead, but I will put the full link to the article in the description for you. I had become very invested in this case over the years, especially lately. Payne Lindsay, a Georgia filmmaker, set out to contribute to the solving of Tara's disappearance and created the podcast Up and Vanished, while subsequently filming a documentary. Up and Vanished has grown in popularity, thus renewing public interest and media attention in the case, and possibly contributing to the case's closure in that way. As someone who was listening to the podcast intently and had followed the case prior, I felt I knew who was responsible for Tara's death, but of course, I was not sure. Tara's body had never been found. Nonetheless, I believed that I had at least some grip on who it could have been. I thought that the person was at least within the subjects presented. So, when the announcement came, with several episodes of Up and Vanished left to air, I rushed to watch the press conference about some big news on the Grinstead case. I was shocked when I heard an arrest was made, and even more shocked when I heard a name, Ryan Duke. I'd never heard of him in the podcast, in the media reports, web forums, anywhere. This gentleman never came up in our radar, the GBI said of Duke. The police had interviewed many people and had hundreds of leads. It wasn't just me. This person never came up on anyone's radar. So, what did the GBI, the local police, the media, private investigators, a podcaster, and a community of web sleuths all miss? As the weeks progress, we will most likely be receiving more details about the case and the investigation, and how exactly Duke was finally interviewed. All we know now is that someone gave the police a walk-in tip, which led to Duke's questioning. How could they have missed it, guys? I don't know, guys, but I do know that people are wrong all the time, especially when the law enforcement officers aren't releasing much information. So that's when people take it upon themselves to just guess and sleuth it. And oftentimes they are very wrong. And oftentimes you end up hurting people. You know, the people you're accusing of crimes? Yeah. You know, the people whose reputations that you tarnish, not only throughout the investigation, and we know how long some of these investigations can last, but also for years to come after the investigation is closed. These people's lives are on blast, and the internet is forever. These things and accusations will follow these people for the rest of their lives. It will affect the rest of their lives in some way. Thanks to you. Now, don't take this the wrong way, because I like to sleuth too. But what you don't see me doing is accusing people of crimes without facts. You don't see me out here making videos about some green hoodie person that could be completely innocent. Or definitely, you don't see me out here making videos accusing parents of making their own children disappear. And just so I'm being clear here, this article actually came out pretty soon, or even right after at least one of these guys, one of the Dukes, one of them were arrested, and that's what prompted this blog post. The community of Wasilla can finally feel a sense of relief, and yet closure may be far off yet. There were many possible suspects in the case, many wrong turns and false flags, more red herrings than anyone could have imagined. Tara allegedly had several relationships with men that all, when looked at in the light, seemed strange and intense, even forbidden at times. Perhaps it played into our sense of drama, the thought that this crime was deeply personal, when evidence now is saying the opposite. A break-in gone wrong? It's hard to believe, and the truth be told, it certainly may not be the end of the story. But it's what we know now, and it's not in any way what we expected. It is important to realize, in these cases, especially those with national attention, we can never be sure of anything until we are sure of everything. There will always be strong emotionality associated with cases of violence, of murder, of loved people going missing. And that is a good thing. We never want to lose sight of the fact that real victims exist and their suffering is what we are seeking to alleviate. We never want to lose the empathy that can power investigations. But we don't want our strong emotions to cause suffering, which we can do by demonizing suspects before they are convicted, by creating witch hunts of people of interest, not accused formally, but informally. It starts with the individual. Individuals in law enforcement must realize their own limits, their own level of human error. as must private investigators, documentarians, the media, and finally the public at large. We must be careful with the things we say and perhaps just as importantly in the ways we react. Behind a computer, we feel emboldened to say whatever we want, make accusations, spin wild tales. But those words still have an impact. They still may reach families, friends, and the individuals themselves who have been falsely accused. They may build on each other and grow, and those accusations can follow people for a long time. Does this mean that we should not investigate crimes to the fullest? Of course not. Well, I don't know. It means that we need to try to keep the mantra alive, innocent until proven guilty, which I hope we can all admit is not generally how we handle people in the court of a public opinion. I think it starts with choosing carefully what we want to put out into the world, and remembering that talking about a person, even if we are convinced they are guilty, affects them and their relationships. And we could be wrong. They could be innocent. Duh. Sorry, but honestly, come on. So do we think this person feels bad, or do we think this person is just trying to save face because they themselves accused people? I do think I agree with the part coming up. It's one thing to gossip with friends and family about cases you're interested in, guessing at suspects, etc. It is another to take that information and make it public. Up and Vanished had no idea what the conclusion to the case would be, or even if there would be one, and treated each person of interest fairly. Did they though? I don't know. I haven't looked. Trying to present all of the possibilities. Investigations will always have false leads, and will often have false suspects and people of interest. It is an unfortunate side effect that, if we can reserve our reactions, could be made less painful. And I have to agree with that. We don't know until we know, and we need to treat people as such. There is nothing wrong with offering ideas, but we have to treat them like they are ideas, not hidden absolute truths. We need to make sure that our efforts and interest in researching and contributing to the cases is not actually causing them more harm than good. I believe in our ability, as people outside law enforcement, to contribute to investigations in meaningful ways, but we've all seen the power of suggestion, of drama ignited into stories that people want to believe. We are looking for truth here, for justice. Something I have learned from the Tara Grinstead case is that investigations are flawed, as the humans involved in them, and the humans that follow the case and try to make sense of it themselves. I want us to remember that the most important thing we can be in an investigation is open to all possibilities, open to changing our minds at any moment. If we don't do this, we will continue to point fingers in the wrong directions, taking ourselves too seriously, thus hurting someone far away that we may never meet, but nonetheless exist and don't deserve to become a pariah because of a rumor gone viral. I hope to be responsible with what I write. I hope you do too. I know that I am flawed, as I was certainly wrong in Tara Grinstead's case. Everyone was. I've chosen the wrong person and believed it. I've made plenty of mistakes. All right, blah, blah, blah. We get it. Well, at least this person was somewhat accountable. Do we think they feel guilty? I don't know what to think. I didn't look into it too much. I don't know what they've posted since then. I don't know any of that. I don't know. I wanted to keep the video not as long as it is now. Obviously, I wanted to keep it a bit shorter, but I mostly just wanted to show the parallels in the two investigations. We had the recordings and talking backwards, and then we had the phone lines with tips, and we also had the bounty hunter who was doing that. So I found that interesting, and I found it very interesting that this was almost 2 decades ago that Tara went missing. And these things are still happening. That was what I found crazy. And why have we not done something to help these victims and the families, as well as people who have just been blamed out of nowhere? They've gone through hell because of people sleuthing and being armchair detectives and fully just blaming people. We don't know who's guilty and who's not because law enforcement definitely doesn't tell us. Well, they don't tell us a lot. They don't even tell us probably a little bit. They tell us only what we need to know. And I do think something has to change. What that is, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I just know it has to change.
right up! Step right up, ladies and gentlemen! Step right up! What do we have here? Welcome to the carnival, ladies and gentlemen! Step right up, and I'll let you in. Hope you got a heart of gold. It'll test you, friend. Think you got it figured out? Guess again for the carnival. Ladies and gentlemen, come on, play the games. We'll pretend you win. You're a hardy soul, a fine specimen. Step within the circus tent. Let's begin. Get ready for the ride of your life. I mean business, like the sharp side of a knife. I'm the ringleader. Mostly you don't see me, cause I stay out of the spotlight. It's easy, believe me, cause you're so distracted by what's in center stage being overacted. The ropes and elastic, the sawdust and sequins, they tell a story you all just believe in. You're so gullible, as long as it's colorful, bright and shiny. Yes, isn't it wonderful? Stay comfortable, relax, sit and watch it while I creep behind your backs and pick pockets. I don't stop at nickels and dimes when I want your time and the thoughts from your mind. Don't worry, it's fine. Stop looking backstage. Why you so curious? Act your age. Welcome to the carnival, ladies and gentlemen. Step right up, and I'll let you in. Hope you got a heart of gold. It'll test you, friend. Think you got it figured out? Guess again. What a carnival, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, play the games. We'll pretend you win. You're a hardy soul, a fine specimen. Step within the circus tent. Let's begin. Acrobats contort and twist the truth. Things in cages cavort just for you. Clowns fight each other and pretend they died. They're so good you forget they're on the same side. See that tightrope walker? Place your bets. She might fall and there's no safety.